Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Joining me today is Shekhar ji as we look at the developments in and around India. A quick look, a quick request to all of you to please like this video, and we are going to share with you some new information about the Balaji temple. So stay tuned for that. Thank you once again in advance, sir. Namaskaram and welcome to P Guru's channel. How are you, Shekhar ji?
Namaskaram, namaskar. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Nice to be back with you.
Sir, how do they address in Odishi, sir? Namaskar or Namaskar? How are they? How do they say it?
They say namaskar. They also say
Namaskar.
jwar. Jwar is also a very common way of greeting in Odisha
I see.
because it is also a common way of greeting in Jharkhand.
Hmm.
Jwar, but mostly it is namaskar.
Wonderful, sir. See, this is the thing. We may speak different languages, eat different food, but the thought is Sanatani always. Sir, over to you. You have a lot on your plate today to share. Modi's US trip priorities. Somebody is asking, the Khalistanis have gone and met the president of, President White House. So what? Anybody can meet anyone. So what? He's going to meet Trump. You shouldn't have objections to that. So this is my sake, sir. Over to you.
Well, sir, as we start our program today, Prime Minister Modi has landed, and in say your time, 10 a.m. He'll be in Delaware at Biden's private property where he's hosting the Quad Summit. And after that, there's going to be a private get together where they're going to discuss a lot of things. But the big question is Prime Minister has done about 8 visits in 10 years. A lot of things have happened between India and America. We are seen as strategic partners. There are a lot of areas where there are convergence of views. Also, there are areas, there are irritants, and one such irritants is what you just mentioned. And whether it is coincidence or is it sending a message to the elements in the U.S., there was a meeting in White House with all this people who are a group of Sikhs who are considered sympathizers of Khalistanis, where the White House was seen as assuring them of some action to prevent transnational aggression on their soil, in the sense that we will not let Indian agents to take down these Khalistani elements, following some attempt being made on the most
Alleged,
prominent,
sir. Alleged
yeah,
attempt.
yeah, on Guru Patwant Singh Pannu, who has already filed a civil lawsuit, and the U.S. District Court of South District of New York has issued a show cause, which has been dismissed by none other than our Foreign Secretary as completely unwarranted. Now, so the whole question is, um, what is going to be priority? Because everybody is saying that this visit, one of the top agenda of this meeting in the Quad get together at Delaware, is rather at Wilmington, uh, Biden's hometown, where at the fag end of his presidency, he has called such an important summit. And the whole question is, uh, what is going to be the outcome of this meet? And interestingly, sir, Quad has been expanding from its core agenda, because it was understood that the whole idea of getting together is to protect Indo-Pacific region from the Chinese aggression. But they have also looked at it not as a military alliance, but more than that, though this is supposed to be a quadrilateral security dialogue, they have been talking of, for instance, today you're going to see some announcements on cancer moonshots program, where this is Biden's very, very pet scheme, because he had lost his elder son to brain cancer. So they're going to announce some a special program to detect and prevent cancer, particularly Indo-Pacific region. And each of these 4 countries will be contributing a lot of money, a lot of personnel, a lot of experts to fight cancer, particularly of the cervical type in these region. That will cover the entire ASEAN, Philippines, Thailand, and all those places where there has been a rise in number of cases. So Quad is not just about China. It is not about resisting China in this region, but it's also about other things. They're going to announce a Quad STEM fellowship for STEM research, where students from not only the Quad countries but also from Southeast Asia they'll participate. There is going to be other programs for maritime domain awareness in the sense because of Chinese. But of late, there has been, I mean, you have seen Chinese warships close to Taiwan, exercises being conducted, and even Chinese state media has been showing kind of videos as to how exactly China will land its troops, on the Thailand, and how it will be taken over. This kind of warmongering has been going on. So this is of course a very important thing. But more than that, Prime Minister Modi complete. This is the first meeting he is having with Biden and other leaders after completing his trip to Moscow as well as to Ukraine, where and he seems to have carried some proposals from Putin to Zelensky, and then Putin was briefed about his talks with Zelensky by his national security advisor. And in all this, Biden is supposed to have played a part or encouraged meeting between Modi and Zelensky. Zelensky was very upset with Prime Minister Modi first going to Putin at a time when Russia was bombarding Ukraine. And so, but I do not know whether this Quad summit is all about taking forward that process to somehow stop the conflict, because so far the moves by America and other allies, particularly NATO allies, doesn't appear to be trying to stop the conflict. Rather, they have been deciding to send more arms and ammunition, and Ukraine has also been claiming success with its newfound energy to take on Russia, and Russian television has been showing Ukrainian drones, and even sometimes missiles are landing on their side, causing a lot of human casualties. So the whole thing that is being asked is what is going to come out of it, and I'm sure the Prime Minister Modi will take up these irritants. These are considered irritants, particularly continuing, some kind of support from what in India we call the American deep state for these Khalistani extremists, and so that will definitely come up. But more than that, this is a follow up also in terms of bilateral meetings. This will be follow up to what agreements that were reached between Prime Minister Modi and Biden. But the big question is, what are these countries going to do to stop China? And there has been criticism that Biden has lost interest in containing China in any aggressive way, because one, it is he's ending his presidency. Two, rather, they would not want China and Russia to further cement their alliance, which is already there is a solid alliance against Americans. And there have been engagement between the Biden administration and the Chinese top leaders. So that is happening on one side. So there are a lot of things happening, but I mean, these 3 days that he's going to be there, of course, a lot of focus in India is on also in his meetings with diaspora. We just saw on our television how Prime Minister Modi was greeted by Indian diaspora in Delaware, right on his in his hotel. We saw how there were Gujarati Garba dance to welcome him. I mean, it's a usual affair, and he's going to have more meetings in New York too, and where he'll be addressing the UN General Assembly on the future aspect of the future challenges before the community of nations. There are several things lined up, but will the outcome of these Quad meetings, will it be see more resolute ideas to take on China, or China is not being seen? I mean, China is being pushed into the sidelines and more announcements about these things. So, what is the outcome? And also on Ukraine, Russia, because there was a lot of excitement in New Delhi when Doval went to um, brief Putin
Russia.
on. Or I mean, he went to Russia and to brief Putin, and he was specially sent as by Prime Minister to tell him, because when Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri was asked about any concrete proposals have been put forth, all he had to say was, we haven't reached any particular stage where we can make disclosures as to what's happening. Um, And domestically speaking, sir, this every time Prime Minister is on a foreign visit, Congress makes it a point to ask, "You are going to this country, but you have not gone to Manipur." Like today, Karge, Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress president, said, "You have all the time to go to America. What is there in America? But you are not going to Manipur." And interestingly, sir, as if to preempt that lot of publicity that is will be generated when Modi visits US. We saw Rahul being there and Rahul making those statements which continue to create a lot of controversies, including how there is a danger to religious freedom in India. Particularly, no Sikh will be able to tie his turban in coming days, and those became a big controversy with some BJP Shiv Sena leaders even issuing, um, I would say, violent threats, which made Congress, create a huge protests. They had demonstrations in several cities, and then we also saw now there is a move by the Congress, to tell Congress leaders rather to impress upon the government. Look, these threats are coming, so restore SPG, restore special protection cover for since he's a leader of the opposition and he's almost a prime minister in waiting. And BJP leaders are issuing threats. Shiv Sena, Eknath Shinde, Shiv Sena is issuing threats, and those issuing threats are seen in the company of their top leaders. So something has to be done. So this is a kind of scene that we are seeing now, where on one hand, a lot of people know that prime ministers' foreign engagements have brought tangible difference to India's interests in many areas, including joint collaboration, technology transfer. But Congress always tries to mock any visit by prime minister to any country, saying, you know, what is the outcome of this? You have not gone to Manipur. Well, this is the scenario today. As uh, by India time, it will be 1 a.m. Of Sunday when the Biden and Prime Minister Modi and other leaders will be engaged in deep conversation. So by the time briefings come, it will be beamed only in the Sunday morning for us. And I would like Shekhar ji, can you just give us the perspective about the Modi's trip and this Quad summit and Biden's last few days in the White House?
Very worrisome in that Biden, I think, is taking a is cocking a snook, they call it in US, basically saying that, I'm going to sock it back to you for not giving me a chance to run again. Because what happened yesterday, Shekharji, was openly, there was a cabinet meeting, and he said, now I hand it over to you, to his wife. And she was actually sitting at the top of the table. So he's almost saying that, I dare you to do something about this. So he is very, very sick. I don't know what he's suffering from. And we don't know if he will be able to finish the term even till January 20th. That's one side. Having said all that, I would be curious to know if Jill Biden is also going to be present in this Quad meeting. So
Well, it's
what?
happening in his it's happening on his property.
Yeah,
He is
yeah,
the host.
exactly. So it's really weird the way Biden is, taking leave. Yeah, you are lucky to be president, my dear man. I mean, you should thank your stars. He had one of the most dodgiest resumes, Shekharji. People don't realize this. He barely passed, and he tried to falsify his academic credentials in 1989, if I remember correctly, or 1988 elections when he was running for president, and he was persuaded to step down because you were a liar, blah blah blah. And suddenly in 2020, there was no better candidate for the Democrats. So there's a lot going on there in terms of US leadership. Somebody else is pulling the strings. That, I think, is very, very apparent now. And unless Modi makes a statement to try and tell that person's pulling the strings, that you can have a civil case against the NSA, but first, don't you want to give head lead to us for questioning for the 26/11 case that happened? And these US will not extradite him. So where's the point of anybody coming from there? Sir, this is all nonsense. I think US is losing its grip. Basically, I'll tell you what is happening in US. 36 trillion now is the debt, and they are now calculating, oh, this asset is there, this asset is there, this asset is there. Against all this, 36 trillion is a small number. It is not a small number. We are going to show viewers how fast the debt has grown. Essentially what US is doing is printing currency left, right, and center. You don't see it because this money is actually going to countries like Ukraine, countries like Israel, because US is underwriting these two wars. And if tomorrow China were to invade Taiwan, that would be a third front they would be underwriting. And the taxpayer is not happy at all. Sir, I'll give you a simple example. Illegals are now making a buck or two. As soon as you enter the state, inside US border, illegal, you are given $2,000 for, chai paisa. What's happening? They're taking that money, pocketing it, going out again, and coming back in. Another $2,000, another $2,000. This is the state of affairs in United States today. They are supposed to be fingerprinted, identified, and told that you have to appear in front of a court judge in order for your determination as to whether you can stay in US or not. Nothing is going on, and it's a total mess today. United States has never been this bad. Shekharji, I'm really afraid because states like California, border states, California, Arizona, Texas, they are bearing the brunt of this invasion of immigrants, illegal immigrants. And I'm sorry, I'm going on and on about this. How this is related to Quad? It is related to Quad because US has become a non-existing factor today. You can spend money on cancer research, but so did they do to get this, what is called as a gain of function research, and you got COVID instead. So big reset needed, Shekharji, in US politics and thinking also of people. There was one horrible video that was happening yesterday. There's this woke girl, and there's a well-known, YouTube blogger, and she wants this fellow to be pushed off of YouTube. You know what she tried to do? She pulled down her top. Luckily, it was not live, so they could cut that out. This is indecent exposure, but it is being done to spite the YouTube blogger. Hey, it's just gone beyond. There are many videos like this, viewers. You can see. I mean, I am like, where is this country headed? What happened to meritocracy? You work hard, you'll do well in life. What is this equality of outcomes? And some of the congresswomen and men that are making statements out there today for the November elections, it doesn't augur well for US. I hope and pray that Trump will win, because there are still people saying that Democrats have found a way to win regardless of what you vote or how you vote. So I'm sure this justice will prevail and that will happen. There are a lot of noise is being made ahead of the elections. I don't think they'll dare rig this one. We'll see. So this is where things stand. I'm so sorry. We were going somewhere, but my point in saying all this is you have to just wait it out for another 50, 60 days, Shekharji. Then you will know who's going to be the president, and that will tell us. Israel, in my opinion, is very smart. They have basically disengaged themselves from America. They're not even listening to America. They say they know what to do, and they are going towards a finish, and you can see it every day. There is progress. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think Ukraine Russia war, disaster, total disaster. Anyway, we'll talk about that separately later. So Shekharji, I hope I explained to you what I think is happening.
No, we needed this perspective because we have been looking at the stories, quoting some opinion surveys saying that Trump has again picked up, or Kamala is again matching up, or Kamala is ahead and Trump is down. I mean, these stories keep coming, giving us a very confused picture as to who is really ahead. And since you told us last time that one should keep in mind about the purity of these surveys and the platform on which they are broadcast, as to the veracity of such surveys, because they are more intended for the targeted voters rather than the overall general audience. So it's a very interesting perspective, sir. But I mean, just before we move on to topics that is engaging us in India, when this blast happened, the pager blast happened in Lebanon, and then it was followed by walkie-talkie blasts. And it was bizarre to see, the American spokespersons for the governments, whether it was White House spokesperson or the State Department spokesperson, or even Secretary of State Blinken himself, repeatedly saying, we know nothing about this. So, I mean, by implicit in that statement, in that assertion is, do not think we are in any way behind this. Do not think we had a knowledge of this, or we gave a green signal for it. And sir, Malayalam papers have been going gaga over a Malayali correction to this pagers.
Hmm.
I mean, you would have noticed those reports. And Malayalam media is known to, no matter what the world event is, if there is a Malayali angle, they will go full hog. So we have seen it during the Gulf War, we have seen it during the Kuwait invasion, and it's happening in this case also. There is one uh, a person who is supposed to be heading a company, a Bulgarian company that is supposed to have made it, but then no sooner the reports appeared that this Kerala person belongs to Wayanad of all places. So you had the Malayalam channel visiting his house and his parents speaking from closed windows, saying that don't bother us, because the other fear was, Islamists would get to them if they found out that their son was somewhere involved in these pages, which has taken the, what I would say, a big blow for Islamists all over the world. That this is the what they see as, Israelis kind of revenge on trying to show that they're back on that intelligence um, superiority that they always advanced, which fell apart when the October 7th aggression happened from the Hamas fighters. So we are also looking at this Malayali angle, but much more than the Malayali angle is that Tirupati Laddoo, which has also upset a lot of people. Which has you did a show yesterday where you brought out several angles, but more angles are coming. There are two points of view that are coming across here. One, as to the political side. Many people are saying that NDTP report, which Chandrababu Naidu's party is flashing, it doesn't specifically talk about Laddu. It talks about the ghee that has been used before, and that report itself mentions that if the tests show presence of animal fat, it could also be due to the kind of feed that was provided to these cows. So that if the cows were fed with a lot of these animal stuff, their milk content and consequently the ghee content could also. Now, all kinds of reports are coming, but the political fallout side, sir, I can see our secularists are very upset. Congress is very upset. And Congress reaction has been, it has taken at least almost 48 hours for Rahul Gandhi today to come out with a statement that the sanctity of religious places should be protected, which is a roundabout way of saying that, he also has taken note of this Laddu. The sanctity should be protected. But Congress initial reactions were, on these lines as to, if this is true, then it must be investigated. If this is not true, I mean, they are allowing for a scope to say that this is not true. If this is not true, if the charges are not true, in that case, the attempt to use religious sentiments should be condemned and people will never forgive them. I think the Congress worry is whether this will have an impact in a faraway state like Haryana, and subsequently 2 months later, what will happen if this has some impact or even bigger impact in Maharashtra? Because Tirupati, after all, has a nationwide appeal, and it has been getting devotees from all over India, from top industrialists, from Bollywood producers to politicians of all hues, and to average normal devotees, who keep coming. And Laddu is considered, is actually, it's given for whoever buys a ticket for darshan. He is handed two laddus when they leave the temple sanctum sanctorum. So you can see the kind of sentiments involved. But Sir, in this, the Ayodhya chief priest of the newly consecrated Ram temple, Mahant said, look, we are wondering that 300 kilograms of laddus were distributed here on the day of consecration. We are wondering what kind of laddu was distributed. Of course, Chandrababu Naidu has struck at Jagan's underbelly, because this is something which Jagan will find it very difficult to wriggle out. Because people are spelling one thing, whether there is a Christian conspiracy angle and all is in the realm of speculation. But one thing is clear, that Tirupati, sir, people are asking this question. Now, Tirupati is such a rich temple. Today it has, the trust owns more than almost 1,500 kilograms of gold, which is valued at more than 9,000 crores or 10,000 crores. It has already got 18,817 crore in cash balance. And its annual revenue from devotees is 1,200 crore. And it is already budgeted 5,000 crore for normal maintenance of the whole complex. So at this time, why should the temple administration should have gone for a cheaper price for ghee? This is what everyone is asking. And nobody is, because even if they went for a cheaper rate, say instead of paying 500 rupees, they went for 320 rupees ghee. But how much would they have saved? People are calculating not more than 20 crores a year. What is 20 crores for such a sample? So, two, three questions have been agitating the minds of the devotees who have been telling me. They are asking two, three questions. Was this cheaper ghee rate used or shown, and to say that tenders were accordingly given to the lowest bidding to change the supplier? Number one. Now, was the bribe given by the supplier to those who were ruling then? In this case, YSRCP Congress, to get the contract. Now, is the answer, the final question that is coming is after Pawan Kalyan himself saying that there should be a Sanatan Dharma Raksha Board. Because again, the question is coming that big temples, which has huge revenue, are under Government of India control. It's a legacy from the British era. And a lot of people have been voicing, say that in fact there is a movement that free temple from government control. And after Pawan Kalyan has said this, a lot of other politicians are also giving voice. Otherwise, they have normally avoided commenting on this freeing the temples. Because what baffles us, like, sir, today you cannot get a good quality ghee for 320 rupees, that to cow's ghee. If you go to the market, you have to pay at least 500, 600, and if you want to buy a A2 ghee, that costs more than 3,000 rupees. Even if the retailer gives you a discount, it will still work to 2,000, 2,500, because A2 milk is the current trending thing here, where people buy ghee which is from the milk of local breed.
Boss
Instead of,
Indicus, sir.
yeah,
Boss Indicus. The cow with a hump.
and that is getting popular because people think that um, the protein in that ghee is easily digestible,
Digestible. Yeah.
and a lot of people are even switching over to milk. Of course, the foods standard authority, FSAI, safety standards, they had initially said, they came with an order saying that A2 milk branding should not be there, because a lot of people are claiming it to be. But then that order was withdrawn because there was a public reaction. So the point I'm making is this whole controversy about Laddoo, because the political fallout is Congress and other secular parties are worried whether Chandrababu Naidu has by design raised this controversy to somehow help BJP. With elections happening in Haryana now, Jammu Kashmir, of course, and later in Maharashtra and Jharkhand. But the one thing is clear, that people are shocked. Of course, Jagan has, he looks very rattled by the disclosures, and his press conference he has been saying, look, this is such a cheap thing that Chandrababu has resorted to. How is it possible? Of course, the votaries for Dravidian parties and secular parties have been saying It is not possible. Any chief minister involved in this, deliberately involved in, you know. But one thing is clear, sir. Contracts, huge contracts in government-controlled temple trusts like Tirupati Devasthanam. The contracts have been given to suppliers, not to actual even original producers of the ghee. In this case, they have given it to supplier who has been sourcing it from several people. Of course, that contract was cancelled after TDP came. Now, some good, I mean, huge quantities of ghee are being purchased from Karnataka Milk Federation and also from other federations like even Arvind could be supplying. I am not sure who have got the contract, but Nandini is back now. An attempt was made when this controversy erupted. Since the certification of those of that ghee, the controversial particular brand of ghee, was done by the National Dairy Development Board, which is based in Anand, Gujarat. People were trying to see a Gujarat angle to this, which is not true. And questions were also asked if, because in terms of purchase, sir, the figures I have is the ghee that is required by the Tirupati Devasthanam is about 6.5 lakh tons a year. And they make 3.5 lakh laddoos a day. And right now, the government has sanctioned a laboratory to test the purity that is at a cost of 75 lakhs. And the other things are every day, I'm told this is one particular figure I have, that 10 tons of gram flour is used, that is basin, 700 kilograms of cashew nuts, 150 kilograms of ilachi, cardamom, and more than 1,500 liters of ghee. Then they also add sugar candy and more than 600 kilograms of raisins. So many ingredients are used. And sir, one thing we cannot dismiss this as pure conspiracy hatched by Chandrababu for one reason. Complaints have been coming from the devotees for some time that the quality of laddu has been going down. Not only laddu, all the prasadam that is available in the temple, people have been saying that it doesn't taste like before. Because quality of ingredients is important for the shelf value of the prasadam products. So people have been complaining. Now, as far as smelling a scam, TDP for some time, just as Jagan, when he came to power, he was targeting all the scams that allegedly happened during the TDP's first rule. So similarly, TDP leaders have been making a list of scams that has happened during Jagan's rule. And when the 100 and Jagan, I mean Chandrababu's contention is that since his government got such a huge mandate in the April-May elections, and therefore they decided to start a cleanup operation, Swachhata Abhiyan. And they started the cleanup operation from Tirupula. That is how this Laddoo thing came out. Because we always knew something was wrong there. That's why we started it there. And we have tried to restore things back there. Of course, people are saying this Laddoo business, I mean, it started somewhere in 1715. And at sometime in 2009, it got a GI tag also. Laddoo got a GI tag. Sir.
I have a full timeline history on this one, sir. So maybe when you have a break, I can go over that. A question also has come up about Sawale Jawab, the book I had mentioned. I have it somewhere in my archives because I did this timeline after going through that. So I will be able to share that thing whenever you want to take a break, sir.
Well, if our editor Sachin is ready, we can straight away look into all those important details that you have so painfully brought to us.
So, viewers, we have to go back to Mahabharata days. And Dharmaraja ruled for 36 years after the war and crowned his grandson Parikshit and left the world. So Kali Yuga essentially starts. See, there is one dispute whether it starts at the time the war ended or the war started, or whether it starts after Dharmaraj and the Pandavas left their board. So that is why there is a number. There is 3067 BCE or 3102 BCE, but it's that close. We have a number on that. Then in circa 3038, Janamejaya, son of Parikshit, we all know Janamejaya, right? Parikshit gets killed by a snake bite, and he does a Sarpa Yagna where all the snakes of the world, including Nagaraja, is being consummated by this yagna. So things get really dicey. So Janamejaya, the son of Parikshit, first renovated and consecrated the Balaji temple. His descendants ruled for 2663 years. In 400 BCE, Cholas, so there is a break in the Chola Empire. Many of you think that it started around Rajaraja Chola. No, there was another Chola, Karikala Chola, and others that go very, very far back. 400 BCE, the Cholas lineage of 20 kings ruled for around 515 years, followed by the Salivahanas, the Ven, the Pandyas, and the Yadavas for around 1074 years. Now, around 1248, Oraganti Prataparudra of the Satavahana dynasty rules, and the Tirupati kingdom comes under him, and he protected it. Next, please. In 1336, Rayas, a lineage of 26 kings, ruled for 339 years. We all know that it is the Vijayanagar Empire. Krishnadevaraya ruled from 1509 to 1529 and donated many precious jewels. But one of the grandest kiritam that the Swami Varu wears only once in a while, that was donated by Sri Krishnadevaraya. This is where you are coming in, sir. Circa 1744, Muhammad Ali, the last of the Nawabs, assigned the revenues of the temple to the East India Company. In 1801, Azim ul Umra, second son of Muhammad Ali, hands over the control of this and the entire Carnatic area to the East India Company. In 1802, the first collector of North Arcot, George Stratton, established a taluk in and around the temple of Tirupati and the town. And it was he who commissioned this book about what exactly is the history of Balaji. And that's when the book 𝙒𝙖𝙩𝙤𝙪 was written and released. Originally, it was written in Telugu, but there is a translation copy available in English. If you happen to go to Tirumala, go and check at the library there. They may have this copy. And it was available. It just became interesting after we wrote a lot of investigative articles, and there's a different story why we did all that stuff. I'll come to that later. 1843 to 1933, the management of the temple was done by 6 generations of Mahants of Hathiram Ji Mutt. In 1933, the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam was formed. Sarju Das, the then Mahant, this is in 1983. This is the N.T. Ramarao government. Sarju Das, the then Mahant, was removed by the government on allegations of corruption. Next, please. Okay, so this is where it ends. So the story goes on from there. What the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam did was, after Dr. Subramaniam Swami's lawsuit in Andhra Pradesh High Court to free TTD from the clutches of the government, they panicked. They wanted to absolutely make sure, in case they lose the case, because they are going to lose the case. There you go. Holy Shrine of Sri Venkateshwara Tirupati, an English translation of 𝙒𝙗𝙩𝙤𝙪. So this is where I got the bulk of my research, viewers. Thank you so much. We will try and put a link to this in our website. And viewers, if you could please, go on to that, download that thing and spread the word around. I'm not looking for any monetary compensation. It took us a lot of time to put this research together. Luckily, sir, to cut a long story short, TTD, in fact, what they did was, there was an IAS officer who tried to go and occupy the Hathiram Mutt and control the entire affair. What they wanted to show was that this place is so corrupt that there is no way we can hand the control of Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam to Hathiram Trust. Luckily, because of this research and a bunch of other things that P. Gurus did, I'm very proud to say that the High Court saw through this thing and they restored control of Hathiram Mutt back to the current seer, the person who's heading it. They are not a part of the TTD, but the original case of handing control of TTD back to somebody else is still hanging loose. That has not been decided. All we could do was to preserve the status of Hathiram Mutt, and for that, a lot of work had to be done. I mean, I don't boast about all these things. These are a few victories that I've had in my 6-7 years of Peer Gurus running this thing, doing this thing with utmost bhakti, got nothing in return. And the only satisfaction is at least I saved Sanatana Dharma in my own little way. So this is Sushilaji saying that for the past few years, the quality of the laddu is not up to the mark. It will get spoiled within 1 week. Now let's get back to our topic, sir. Go ahead. We have one more topic to cover too.
Yeah. So before we move on, I just wanted to add, those who are questioning this allegations made by Chandrababu Naidu, including quite a controversial blogger from Srirangam, his name is Rajagopal Narasimhan.
Rangarajan Narasimhan.
As Rangarajan Narasimhan, he has been giving interviews questioning even the NDTV report, saying the NDTV report is not about the laddus, it is about the ghee used in the laddu. So you cannot come to, we do not know what kind of thing has been used for laddu. And he says even this whole idea of the laddu making and all, these are itself violation of certain temple hygiene and temple practices. He has also raised questions about two Jiyas who are supposed to be connected with Tirupati shrine, Tirumala shrine, and why they have never raised voices to all these things. And also, sir, the Dikshitulu, if you remember, who was
Ramana Dikshitulu. He's a good friend of mine. Yes.
Yeah, he has also, said, look, this was being there, and we were trying to point it out, but that is right from 2014 and all. He was removed around that time. He says our voices were silenced.
Yeah.
Because obviously some racket was going on. So there is a lot of things that is coming out now, which goes to show that there are reasons to suspect financial irregularities, and somebody obviously was giving out these contracts and somebody was making money, and those who had to bribe to get these contracts compromised on quality. Now, I do not subscribe to a larger this conspiracy angle which is coming because Jagan was a Christian. That is why they didn't care about this and all that. I'm not getting into that because there are no enough evidences to suggest this particular episode is directly related. But one thing is clear, sir. Where corruption is the main driving thing behind such scams, then I think then they are not bothered as to what they are defiling, as to what are they doing with the faith of the people. Take for instance that beef tallow case which happened in the 80s when VP Singh was commerce minister, and people involved in the beef tallows were all Hindus and Jain traders, Hindu traders. Nothing to do with the religion. It only goes to show that the greed of these merchants or to the community they belonged. Sir.
Thank you, sir. See, Ramana Dikshitulu was what is called as Mirasi priest. There are 4 families that were managing the affairs of the temple inside the Garbhagriha. These 4 families took turns in appointing the person who would perform puja. The period was, I think, 1 year or 2 years. I don't remember correctly. This has been followed since the time it was laid down by Ramanuja. Ramanuja came in the 10th century to Tirupati. He actually standardized all the operational procedures that these set of families will take care of the temple. These set of families will take care of the Madapalli. Madapalli is kitchen. Sir, for 1,000 years, this kitchen had never been closed until in the previous regime, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu closed it for 11 days, saying that the kitchen floor was not well and it had to be cleaned. And go and watch what Ramana Dikshitulu said, why he did that. Sir, these are politicians. They will do anything to just get ahead. And if BJP is using that to get ahead in Haryana, what can I say? At least the crime has been committed. So there is another scoundrel in this whole thing that people forget. His name is Dollar Seshadri. What he did was he was told, look, you de-emphasize this Mirasu system. Don't let, because if you don't do that, none of the other pujaris will ever be able to perform services for the Balaji temple. So a lot of work was done to try and make Ramana Dikshitulu look bad, the Mirasi system bad, their benefits were taken. Sir, these are not things that should be discussed in a court. My God, this has been going. How many generations they are going back on that? See, Ramana Dikshitalu sir is a trained PhD, if I remember correctly. And for somebody to still stay connected with Vaidikam, can you guys even imagine how hard it is? You have to get up at 4 o'clock every day in the morning. Just the puja vidhanas takes hours in a day. You can't give up, sir. This is we don't respect the people who have given up their life for service of God. I mean, everything is not commercial, guys. Anyway, so I can go on a rant because I know from very close quarters what he has been going through. 3-4 times he met with Jagan Mohan Reddy saying that the Mirachi system should be restored, and he is always obsequious. Avun sir, meer peddavallandi swami garu, nothing happened at the end. And I'm telling you, the same thing Chandrababu Naidu also will follow. There, that guy had pseudo Christians as crypto Christians as the executive officer. Now this guy will have his own people. The problem is the what is happening at the puja level. The sanctity of the temple must be restored. Very, very sad at the way things have gone here. What can I say? I mean, this is the way it is. Money brings in so much greed, and along with it, corruption. Sir, let's take a look at what is Atishi's thing, and then maybe we'll take one or two questions. We may not have a lot of time for questions. I apologize, guys. There was so much material to cover. Over to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Atishi has, after a decade, Delhi as a women chief minister, Atishi has taken charge as chief minister with a declared objective of ensuring Arvind Kejriwal, returns as CM when the elections are held in February of 2025. That is next year. So, but the question that everyone is asking now, uh, the fact that Arvind Kejriwal chose Atishi as his successor at this point, because he had not resigned when he was first time he had to go into the jail. That was in March. And he did not resign when he came out on bail for Lok Sabha campaign, because he again returned to jail. Now with Supreme Court putting condition on his bail, he's out on bail. He realized that he cannot visit the CM's office. He cannot give any policy directives. Therefore, it is better he put somebody, and he chose Atishi. Now, Atishi, there are some plus points about Atishi, I think, which we may have to, bring it to public domain. One, that she brings a lot of freshness. She has been around. She has been handling 13 departments doing firefighting. Now, she has a window of 60 to 120 days. And for good part of this year, the Delhi government has been in a limbo, with Arvind Kejriwal in jail, with Manish Sisodia in jail. And 2-3 ministers have been functioning. But overall, you find Atishi has been, firefighting and the standoff with the lieutenant governor. Now, question is, can Atishi, given all this experience, bring about some change in the working relationship between the chief minister, that is herself, and the lieutenant governor? Can that bring a qualitative impression on the voters? And will Kejriwal let Atishi use this opportunity to show her skill? Because if he does allow her full freedom to function, because whatever happens in by February 2025, of course, the party has officially said Atishi is a stopgap arrangement. Atishi is not a full-fledged chief minister. But once in the chair as a chief minister, can she do things that can completely show that Arvind Kejriwal is not the only answer to Delhi from AAP side? Will she be allowed to do that? Can she show that dexterity, that capability? Because these questions are coming, because Congress still is not very clear about what it wants in Delhi. BJP has a leadership issue, because there is no one single phase that has so far come which can be seen as a chief ministerial material, because there are so many factions, and BJP is not in a position to name anybody before the elections, though the current BJP president has been quite active. Now, this is what I'm willing to make I would say, some kind of I would say a peep into what could happen, in the sense if Atishi can show herself as a more functional CM, and if she can get the government back on the track and somehow manage a working relationship with the governor, with the lieutenant governor, perhaps people may get to see a new CM and could even make an impact saying that she is as good as Kejriwal, good within quotes, or she is even better. In which case, with cases still pending against Arvind Kejriwal, even after the next elections, and AAP, let us say, manages to secure a majority, then Atishi may be back as CM. I mean, one cannot rule it out. Though right now everybody is declaring, even today, after she took oath, her first declaration was, my only aim is to see that he passes the Agni Pariksha and people give us mandate again so that Kejriwal becomes CM. So it's all Kejriwal, Kejriwal, Kejriwal. But with a lady at the helm, she's the third women chief minister. First you had Sushma Swaraj, who was just given 3 months. She was sent to handle the government just 3 months before the 98 elections. And BJP lost that election, and that's how Sheila Dikshit came. And Sheila Dikshit ruled for more than 15 years. And Sheila Dikshit was credited for changing the face of Delhi. And she also had problems with whoever was lieutenant governor, even under Congress rule. But she somehow managed to get this done and was seen as a person who is cast for Delhi, and a lot of changes happened in Delhi. Though at that time also a lot of corruption issues came up. And that is how Arvind Kejriwal's movement started against corruption. Anna Hazare came down, and there was a fast by Anna Hazare. So India Against Corruption started. After that movement ended, Kejriwal converted this movement into a political party, which was objected to by Anna Hazare. I mean, these are all brief, milestones I'm mentioning, and that's how Aam Aadmi Party was born. Then you had two elections. In one election, they didn't have a majority. They had to take the support of the Congress, and Congress willingly extended outside support. That government did not last. So this is the way we are seeing. And today, after the Lok Sabha results, which was not very positive for the Aam Aadmi Party, now they are going to face the assembly elections. So my is Atishi can change. I mean, can bring about a change for AAP. Only question is, will she be allowed to do so by her own party? Can Kejriwal allow her to grow from his Chhatrachaya? Sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, we know where Aam Aadmi Party started and where it is today. Only people left are Arvind Kejriwal and his Sancho Panza, who is Manish Sisodia, and now you are getting all these small lieutenants coming in, and who knows what's going to happen. But I have predicted that this party has had its up and downs. I don't think they are going to survive for long, but that's just my ruling, my observation. Sir, let's go to some questions if you don't mind.
Sir.
Thank you, Karthik Devendran, for becoming YouTube member. Pawan Kishore wants to know, does Khalistani group meeting White House officials just before Modi's trip to US, and does RG's video today on fake propaganda regarding Sikh religious freedom in India has any connection?
Well, one cannot dismiss the white officials, calling these people. I mean, the people who went there were the names I have is they belong to a group called they belong to American Sikh Caucus Committee, and representatives from Sikh Coalition and Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Now, these are the people who were granted audience in White House, and all that they wanted was that America should do enough to prevent Indian agencies hunting down the separatists. And already you have a US congressman, Adam Schiff, introducing a bill which is called the Transnational Repression Reporting Act, which requires the Attorney General of the United States to coordinate with other federal agencies on cases of transnational repression against people of the US, which means to prevent, because there is a fear among these groups that probably India is doing some Israeli type operation and getting one after the, getting these Khalistani leaders one after another. Now, and the fact that Guruprat Singh Pannu has filed a civil lawsuit against the government of India and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and some RNW officers. It goes to show that somewhere along he is getting the support from the American deep state. This is an irritant. Of course, Indian diplomats have been very careful to say this is a thing that they can overcome. But definitely, this is an irritant, and I would expect Prime Minister Modi to and his team to put this across to American interlocutors that this irritant should not be allowed to gain center stage. So,
Magnet Ranga wants to know, Namaskar, Tirumala ghee issue was atrocious. Will we see anyone being punished after the brouhaha? It's not a brouhaha, it is a fact. Will Hindus learn lessons from at least now? Isn't it terrible that Hindus were the suppliers?
sir, greed knows no religion. Greed doesn't respect faith. Because initially people were trying to see if the suppliers, who were the suppliers. But what do we know is, well, there is a demand that there should be a CBI inquiry. In fact, Jagan's sister, Sharmila, who rebelled against him, became and was asked by Rahul Gandhi to head the Congress against Jagan. She has been making noises, in fact, sort of trying to defend Jagan, saying that, look, let this be investigated by CBI. So therefore, I think Chandrababu Naidu has to go for investigation because the matter will not die down so easily, sir.
Next question, please. Thank you, Ranjit Lala. Rohit Akshay wants to know, why is the current Babu government in AP not upscaling the dairy university to match the ghee requirement for the temple laddus? Could this be the reason for switching over to imported butter?
Well, my only thing was the Tirupati Devasthanam itself could have a Goshala. I mean, they may be having a Goshala, but they themselves could go for setting up a dairy plant. I mean, what prevents them with so much of surplus cash on their hands? In fact, they provide a lot of money to the Andhra Pradesh government, and that money is used in a lot of social welfare schemes and development schemes in many of the districts around the temple, whether it is water supply, medical facilities, primary health care. Lot of Tirupati Devasthanam earnings have been used by the Andhra Pradesh government for to meet their budgetary deficits. But my question is, if this was the ghee requirement, like ISKCON at many places have their own goshalas. Similarly, Tirupati Devasthanam could consider, in fact, they could consider a goshala where they raise. I mean, they keep cows of the Indian variety for milk for the puja purposes as well as for production of ghee, and along with a goshala that takes care of sick cattle, because a lot of calves and particularly bulls are abandoned. So the abandoned cows could also be taken care of, and that would, I think, go with the sentiments associated with the worship. Particularly Go Puja, of course, Go Puja are taking place in the temple, and along with the actual welfare of the cow, and central government has several schemes under which this could be taken up, and entrepreneurs or local farmers could be encouraged. I mean, this opens a possibility. I mean, I am looking at a possibility. I'm making I would say, a wild suggestion that why not consider to use this opportunity to create, because after all, government has announced more than 20 lakh crore package for to boost agriculture, and dairy farming is one of them, and milk production has recently received, particularly in the cooperative sector, government has recently come out with a fresh program. We had Operation Flood 1, 2, and now there is a program to boost milk production since the demand for milk is going up. And a milk produced by Tirupati Devasthanam, Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam, that would have a huge demand. Even as they, buy from, say, Karnataka Milk Federation, or from Avin, or from Vijaya Dairy, which belongs to Andhra Pradesh. Sir.
Thank you, sir. Next question, please. Shobhit Singh, this is the last question, sir. Shobhit Singh, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपको. Sir, you may know better, but who is this Jayant Bhandari fellow in USA? His condescending posts on X against Indians is making my blood boil. Shobhit Singh, you know what? George Soros is a Jew. Bernie Sanders is a Jew. You see them being nice towards Jews, you're going to get such people. Why do you waste your time reading his X? Just unfollow him. Out of mind, out of sight. You know that Sanatani Dharma is much more inclusive. There will be people like this. You can't. It could even be somebody else under the name Jayant Bhandari. You never know. People put false names and do things. Whatever. Sir, thank you so much, sir. This was a very wonderful session. I thought we covered a lot of information with background, facts, and other details. Hopefully, the seriousness with which this needs to be dealt is understood by the central government. And a CBI inquiry is a minimum, sir. But more than that, I see that many people just escape scot-free. Bribe here, bribe there, insufficient evidence, destroy evidence. There are many people living alive who can give the actual facts. If a proper inquiry is conducted, the truth will come out. That's my 2 cents, sir. Thank you so much once again, and we'll see you very soon, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.